I feel like we need a more trauma-sensitive approach in the world of non-duality. There's a lot of information, a lot of videos, a lot of access to teachings on non-duality, spiritual awakening, Buddhism, Dharma. I mean, kind of more than ever, it's easier to get your hands on teachings pointing towards the truth, true nature, awakening. And in a way that's, well, it's wonderful. It gives more and more people access to this exploration, this opportunity and invitation to freedom. But it's also, I would say, more than ever, people discovering that they are traumatized, that they have a traumatized nervous system. I'm one of those people. I've spoken a lot about how my nervous system has been traumatized through many things, but yeah, a process of complex trauma. And what I've come to find is that, general everyday teachings on awakening, they don't quite cut it when it comes to healing the nervous system that has been traumatized. But often the distinction isn't made. So what we get is a one-size-fits-all, here you go, here's the awakening fodder, get stuck in. And if you have been traumatized, you might start noticing, this seems to be quite painful, like more painful than people are talking about. I hear all these stories and accounts of people finding deep peace, deep freedom, and yet they're not talking about triggering feelings of like deep despair, let's say, or the nervous system feeling like it wants to crawl out of its own skin, or relapsing back into addictive habitual behaviors. And if you're not hearing people talking about that, you might think, well, I'm doing this wrong. I'm doing the awakening thing wrong because look, there's John over there and Sarah over there saying, oh yeah, we just open to insight, everything drops away, and then there's freedom. Do a little bit of shadow work, and there we go, ta-da, the glory land. And I mean, if you've suffered from trauma and you're exploring awakening, it just doesn't go like that. By necessity, when we start stripping away our self-defense, we get to feel the wounds that sit underneath. And if we're not fueled by capacity, if we've not learned how to regulate, how to relax, how to calm, how to ground our nervous system, then it just becomes a wild ride, a chaotic ride. So I'm kind of advocating for a more nervous system attuned, trauma sensitive approach in this world of awakening. And I thought I could give a couple of examples of how this could be important and why it's needed. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the two main practices that I see often in the world of non-duality, and that is single-pointed focus or one-pointed awareness, kind of direct inquiry, you could call it. And then on the other hand, open awareness, resting as awareness and openness. So these two things are spoken about a lot. You probably hear many teachers saying, oh, actually, it's a combination of these two practices that will take you all the way. And it's not for me to disagree, but in the case of a trauma sufferer, someone who's been traumatized, what you might find is both of these practices can re-trigger trauma and can re-traumatize if not done sensitively. And that can be a real problem. If you're spending time getting really into the meat and drink of awakening and looking at self-structure, what it is to be awake and free, and you're using deep inquiry practices and you're being told, actually, no, these inquiry practices, they are the key. That can be problematic because the nervous system that has protected us by hiding those wounds, when we start applying pressure to it, it starts to kind of unfold, not only unfold, kind of like fizz, basically. And we can feel old trauma resurfacing. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but if we don't have the capacity to deal with it, And by the nature of being traumatized, if we're not able to regulate and shift out of these states of hypervigilance and high sensitivity, then it can be it can last for a long time, and it can be really, really painful. So you can see that, like, that method of inquiry, that deep pointing and asking questions and looking at our self-structure, although useful to a degree, if we're traumatized, it can be a cause of pain, a cause of further traumatization, because an already overwhelmed nervous system is being further overwhelmed by an attack. Basically, we're attacking it. We're saying to our defense mechanisms that's kept us safe, no, I want to pull you apart. But those defense mechanisms are often there for a reason. That doesn't mean we can't heal from that and let go of them, but it takes time. It's a slow process, and it takes gentleness. So that's the single-pointed approach, the inquiry approach. On the other hand, you have the resting as awareness approach, which is spoken about quite a lot. And again, both of these are crucial on the path of awakening. But like I said, if you've been traumatized, both can be re-traumatizing. So you might think, well, how does resting as awareness re-traumatize us? And this is a bit more subtle in a way. So if you think about resting as awareness as a practice of open sensitivity, we're kind of opening ourselves to this moment through our senses with direct experience without any kind of mental overlay or filter. That sounds freeing, doesn't it? Yet if the nervous system has been conditioned to see this moment as it is, as threatening, then actually what we're doing is over time opening to a deeper sense of threat sometimes. And this took me kind of years to figure out what was going on, because I could sense the truth of, let's kind of dive into this moment just as it is without any filters and rest there. I could feel that. And at the same time, I was feeling kind of worse and worse, really. And it took a long time to realize, maybe this isn't the right tool for the job. Maybe I don't have the capacity to be with this moment just as it is without any filters. Because when I do that, something here, something in this body, mind, nervous system, it seems to go, no, danger, 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 run away, run away, run away, run away. And I think a lot of the messaging out there is, no, stay with it, stay with it, stay with it, stay there, feel what you need to feel. And that can be useful sometimes. But like I said, if you're a trauma sufferer and you've been traumatized, actually, the more we stay with it when we are overwhelmed, the further we overwhelm ourselves. And it just becomes a cycle of going deeper and deeper and deeper into a trauma response, and then feelings of despair, loss, confusion, deep sorrow will just continually arise. We'll feel trapped. So we need something other than resting as awareness and single-pointed focus and inquiry. Well, what else is there? Well, this is where it becomes a bit more tricky. There is a whole world of trauma healing practices that exist. Most notably somatic-based healing, which is kind of what I'm into. It seems to have been the most effective for me. But it's often not associated with non-duality or the world of awakening. So we can feel like, oh no, I'm kind of doing the path wrong if I need to go to this other, more trauma healing practice. I need to just stay on the path of non-duality. I guess I'm here to say that if you are suffering from trauma and you are on the path of awakening, let go of that. It's not helping you at all. If you need gentle, tender, somatic-based healing to help us reattune our nervous system, we need to lean into that and let go of any kind of judgment that might arise about whether we're doing a spiritual life right or wrong. So yeah, it feels like, to me, one thing that I can do is encourage us, if you are a trauma sufferer, to seek something a bit wider outside of the scope of non-duality and awakening in order to help us to awaken further. See, the more we're able to tend to that hypervigilance in a very systematic, slow, titrated and gentle and loving way, the more our capacity increases to be with the moment. We are further able to let things be as they are. And as we do, we awaken deeper and deeper to our true nature. But we can't just go at it like 100 miles an hour. And we can't just expect ourselves to rest in non-duality and awareness and openness and not have trauma resurface. So if any of this resonates with you, it'd be great to hear from you below, like to know a little bit about your experiences. You know, I've kind of been trying to support others as well as support myself on this path. And it's nice to know what techniques people use or what's been working, what hasn't been working. And yeah, I'm wishing you lots of wellness. I intend to do more trauma-related videos in future because, as you know, it's a big part of my life and it's a part of my life I'd like to share and help others with.